Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines this morning. Central committees to tour states and union territories to assess status of implementation of demonetization. Teams to file report before November 25th. RBI allows farmers to buy new seeds with old currency. Borrowers given additional 60 days time to repay loans worth up to 1 crore rupees, and operating guidelines given for banks on withdrawals for wedding expenses. "32 people killed in suicide bomb attack at Shiite mosque in Afghan capital Kabul." Prime Minister Modi condemns the attack, says all sanctuaries safe havens and support to terrorists must end. One-meter tsunami hits Japan's coast at Fukushima following a 6.9 magnitude earthquake that hit the region. And US President-elect Donald Trump says US will quit the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal on his first day in the White House. Trump says the deal is a potential disaster for the US. Well, the debate on demonetization will continue in the Rajya Sabha today. The impasse stalled proceedings in the upper house on Monday. A united opposition insisted on condoling the loss of lives caused by the hardships due to the withdrawal of high-value currency notes. Meanwhile, the government hit out at the opposition for disrupting the proceedings while stating that it was ready for a discussion on demonetization. As the government and the opposition locked horns, the House saw several adjournments through the day.
The demonetization issue paralyzed proceedings in the Rajya Sabha once again on the fourth day of the winter session of Parliament. After the House mourned the deaths due to the derailment of the Indore-Patna Express, opposition Congress, PSP, TMC and CPIM demanded a resolution condoling the deaths caused by demonetization.
ये जो 70 लोग अभी पिछले 15 दिन में लाइन में खड़े होकर पूरे देश में मर गए हैं, वो भी तो हमारे देशवासी हैं, वो भी गरीब हैं, किसान हैं, मजदूर हैं, उनके लिए भी तो यहाँ एक चेयर की तरफ से रेजोल्यूशन आना, यही हमारी मांग है।
जो बड़े नोटों पर जो पाबंदी लगाई है, जिसको लेकर काफी लोग मर चुके हैं, कोई भूखे रहकर, कोई प्यासे रहकर, कोई किसी को दवा नहीं मिली है, कोई सदमे से मर गए हैं, कोई बच्चों की शादी नहीं कर पाए, उससे मर गए हैं, उनका क्या होगा?
Nearly 70 people have died.
There is no such notice from you.
The House should express their sorrow and grief on that. A obituary reference on that must be there.
Leading government star Finance Minister Arun Jaitley lashed out at the opposition and alleged that the opposition parties were running away from the debate on demonetization.
उस पे बहस आरंभ हो चुकी है, बहस चल रही है, कुछ माननीय सदस्यों ने बोलना है, बहस का उत्तर देना है, विपक्ष उस बहस से भाग क्यों रहा है? Why are they running away from that debate?
Meanwhile, the chair clarified that obituary references cannot be taken up suo moto.
Obituary is not done by censor house. What are you talking?
You can't be so insensitive.
Obituary is not done by taking the censor house.
You can't be so insensitive.
No. And what is the authenticity of the number you are saying?
But the angry exchanges continued between the Treasury and the opposition benches, while opposition members entered the well, demanding the Prime Minister's response on demonetization. Ruling party members moved to the aisle, pressing for an immediate discussion, washing out zero hour and question hour.
Authenticity of the number you are speaking. And obituary is not done by in this way.
The deadlock continued even in the post-lunch session. With no imminent resolution amid heated verbal exchanges, the chair first adjourned the House till 3 p.m. and then till 11 a.m. on Tuesday. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Proceedings in the Lok Sabha too were disrupted for the fourth consecutive day on Monday. The issue again was demonetization. Even as the government expressed willingness for a discussion, the opposition insisted that question hour be suspended for a debate.
As soon as proceedings began on Monday, opposition parties were up in arms on the demonetization issue. Congress, TMC, left parties, NCP, RJD and JDU MPs demanded that the question hour be stalled to discuss the problems being faced by the common man. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anant Kumar said the government was ready for a discussion under Rule 193.
आम जनता के, आम नागरिक के, किसानों के हर कठिनाई निवारण करने के लिए मोदी सरकार तैयार है, मैं ये आश्वस्त करना चाहूंगा। इसलिए इस विषय के बारे में वो चर्चा करे, बहस करे, उस बहस का जवाब देने के लिए हम तैयार हैं।
The Congress party's leader in the House, Mallikarjun Kharge, said the opposition was united in its demand that a discussion be held under Rule 56.
जनता के ग्रीवेंसेस को आपके सामने रखने के लिए आए हैं। जनता को जो तकलीफ हो रही है, लाइन में खड़े हुए लोग जो मर रहे हैं, उनके तरफ से हजारों लोग जो इंजर्ड हो गए हैं और आज अर्थव्यवस्था खत्म हो चुकी है।
Earlier, Speaker Sumitra Mahajan had turned down the opposition's demand, appealing to them to let the House function. As opposition uproar continued, the Speaker first adjourned the House till 12 p.m., then 2 p.m. and then till Tuesday. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now get you the latest on the government's demonetization move. The government has announced setting up of committees of senior officials to report on the implementation of the decision of demonetizing high-value currency. The committees will visit states and union territories. Teams of additional secretaries, joint secretaries and directors, with each team consisting of up to 2 or 3 officers for each state and union territory, has been announced. The teams will visit the states and union territories and report back to the government on its move. The teams would visit the states allocated to them for at least 2 days and tour across the state during their visit. They would assess the status regarding currency availability across the state, facilities at bank branches and post offices, status of calibration of ATMs to dispense 2,500 rupee notes, and impact of the decision on various segments. The teams would submit their reports to the Department of Economic Affairs by November 25th. Well, the RBI has issued detailed operating guidelines to banks for dealing with requests for withdrawal for weddings. The new guidelines include wedding card, copies of advance payments made for booking marriage hall and caterers. This is required for withdrawing 2.5 lakh rupees from own accounts. The guidelines come 4 days after the government announced special dispensation for meeting wedding expenses. Withdrawals will be allowed only from balance available before the November 8th decision of the government, and the same can be done only for marriages solemnized on or before December 30th. Banks have also been asked to keep records of all disbursals, and draws will have to submit a list of persons to whom payments will be made out of the funds. RBI also said banks should encourage families to incur wedding expenses through non-cash means, through checks or drafts, credit or debit cards, prepaid cards, mobile transfers, internet banking channels, NEFT, RTGS and the like. Extending a huge relief to cash-strapped rural India, the centre on Monday allowed farmers to buy seeds with old currency notes ahead of the Rabi harvesting season. With the central government busy in defending its biggest economic reform, several opposition parties have joined hands to take on the government.
Ahead of the Rabi season, the centre on Monday announced that farmers can use old high-denomination notes to buy seeds at state-owned outlets. This comes in addition to the cash withdrawal limit of up to 25,000 rupees per week against crop loans.
धान कट रहा है, खेत तैयार है गेहूं का, और गेहूं बोने के लिए 1 एकड़ में 6,000 रुपये का खर्च आता है, जिसके लिए वह बड़ा नोट लेकर के इधर उधर दौड़ रहा है। कोई उसका सुनने वाला नहीं है और हम लोगों के दुकानों पर कोई ग्राहक नहीं है। 500-1000 की नोट हम लोग लेके करेंगे क्या? बैंक में लाइन लगाने पर 3 घंटा 4 घंटा में काम हो रहा है। सबसे बड़ी समस्या बाजार में है।
In order to understand the ground situation, Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman met members of Export Promotion Council in the national capital. Meanwhile, the lines have been shorter outside banks and the ATMs. Small businesses, however, reported huge losses, while daily wage laborers remained jobless as the demonetization move entered its 13th day.
किसानों को तो सबसे ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ है। हमारा तो सारा लेन देन कोऑपरेटिव के थ्रू ही है, तो जो उन लोगों के पुराने खाते किसानों के कोऑपरेटिव बैंक में थे उनका तो लेन देन ही ठप हो गया, तो इससे बहुत ज्यादा प्रभावित है। और हमारे यहाँ तो सारे यहाँ व्यापारी वर्ग भी किसान ही है।
दिक्कत बोलो नहीं, ये लोग क्या आते हैं, आज 100 किलोमीटर से गाड़ी ले आते हैं। अब वो 500 को 1000 को नहीं चल रहा। ये शेतकरी लोग नहीं ले रहे, किसान लोग नहीं ले रहे, ये परेशान बहुत किया है।
Opposition parties found common ground here, with at least 10 parties coming together to take on the government inside and outside parliament. The Trinamool Congress seems to be spearheading the effort.
जनता इस तकलीफ को भुला नहीं सकता। जनता की तकलीफ को मजाक मत समझिए। आपकी पॉलिसी से जनता बहुत तकलीफ मिल रहा है, टू मच ऑफ पेन। प्लीज, ये स्टेट की इकोनॉमी, देश की इकोनॉमी एकदम सर्वनाश हो गया।
Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi took a dig at Prime Minister Narendra Modi and alleged that the Prime Minister was working for a select few.
जहां भी मैं गया, लोगों ने कहा कि उनको बहुत कष्ट हो रहा है। लोग कह रहे थे कि वो लाइन में खड़े हैं और पीछे से, बैंक के पीछे से डील हो रही है, कैश निकाला जा रहा है और चुने हुए लोगों को वो कैश दिया जा रहा है। जो अमीर है वो पीछे से पैसा ले जा रहा है और जो गरीब है वो लाइन में खड़ा हो रहा है। 3 दिन के लिए खड़े रहते हैं, चले जाते हैं वापस, तो बहुत नुकसान हो रहा है लोगों का।
Till Monday, the Reserve Bank of India has disbursed 1.03 lakh crore rupees in cash over the counter or through ATMs since November 10th. However, the centre's next move depends on the Supreme Court decision on its petition seeking transfer of all cases against its demonetization drive. The court will hear the centre's plea on November 23rd. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, demonetization has hit hard the mostly cash-based retail business in Delhi that has witnessed an estimated plunge of 80% in sales ever since the government banned 500 and 1000 rupees currency notes. Now, traders say that they just don't have cash to buy more stocks.
Daily business in Delhi markets continued to be sluggish on the 13th day of demonetization. Traders and merchants at Karibawli, one of the biggest wholesale markets in the city, have been the worst hit. The usual chock-a-block throng is missing. The few customers were the people with 100 rupee notes and a few others with the new 500 and 2000 rupee ones.
दिक्कत ये और व्यापार में आ रही है कि पुरानी नोट बंद हो गई है, नई नोट बहुत नई के बराबर आ रही है। ठीक है, यही परेशानी है कि व्यापार में दिक्कत हो रहा है। लगता है कि व्यापार बंद करना पड़ेगा, ना वो पैसे ले रहे हैं, ना सामान आ रहा है आगे से।
Traders claimed that business had shrunk by almost 80%, with hardly any cash in the market.
हमारे को पुराने मिल रहे हैं, पुराने ही लाएंगे, नया मिलता नहीं है। अब जाते बैंकों में लाइन लगाएंगे, जब जाके लेंगे, और नहीं दे रहे हैं सामान तो घर जाएंगे, भूखे रहेंगे और क्या करेंगे।
Delhi Trade Association President Vijay Gupta said slow pace of exchange of currency notes has crippled their business.
ये वही पोजीशन है, क्रेडिट का व्यापार होता है होलसेल के अंदर। जब तक वो रुपए लेकर के नहीं आएगा तब तक व्यापार नहीं होगा। आज हम किसी को चेक से पेमेंट देता है हमें, तो हम उस पर विश्वास कैसे करेंगे।
The situation in other markets of Delhi was also similar. The coming days will tell us just how serious will be the effects of the demonetization move. Anu Diwan's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
As borrowers face cash crunch, the RBI on Monday provided an additional 60 days to repay housing, car, farm and other loans worth up to 1 crore rupees. The move is expected to help the borrowers whose EMIs are due in the first half of the month.
Business or personal loan borrowers with loans up to 1 crore rupees from banks or non-banking financial companies will get an extra 60 days to repay. This applies to dues payable between 1st of November 2016 and 31st of December 2016. Demonetization of higher value currency notes has affected normal banking activity, including check clearances. Borrowers are also unable to get payments from creditors due to various restrictions, including cash withdrawal limit of 24,000 rupees per week, limiting their options to repay dues. Many banks have stopped disbursing new loans in the wake of ongoing cash crunch.
All products relating to credit, disbursal of loans whether it is CC or whether it is OD, whether it is personal loan, whether it is housing loan, might get delayed, might get affected. Almost all the banks and all the bank branches, what they have done is they have increased the number of counters. So the same staff which used to be catering to the loans, the same staff which used to be catering to other products, have all been infused into this.
However, experts feel borrowers will reap the benefits of demonetization as growing deposits in banks may help lower interest rates.
The negatives are short-time, temporary, and to a modest extent. I believe that from 1st January 2017 onwards, we will see only the positive gains, and those gains would be very solid and longer lasting.
So far, after the demonetization decision, banks have received deposits worth nearly 5.12 lakh crore rupees. This is Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
In other news now, the Income Tax Department has served a questionnaire on Gali Janardhan Reddy, asking him to explain the expenditure incurred on his daughter's wedding 5 days ago. The IT department inspected the offices of Reddy's firms, where they went through records at the Obalapuram Mining Company, an associated mining company owned by Reddy and his family. In Bengaluru, the Income Tax Department conducted surveys at least 10 locations of high-end event management firms, catering and multimedia service providers who were engaged for the extravagant wedding. Reddy has been asked to reply to the questionnaire before November 25th. Reddy, once considered mighty along with his brothers in the mine-rich Ballari district, is presently on bail, which the Supreme Court granted in January last year after he spent about 40 months in jail in connection with alleged illegal mining. The extravagant wedding came at a time when people were facing hardships getting money to meet daily needs due to demonetization. The BJP, that was asked to explain the presence of its leaders for the wedding function, said it had nothing to do with Reddy. Well, it's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, Thailand's Princess Maha Chakri Srindaron was conferred with the first World Sanskrit Award for her exemplary contribution towards promotion of the language. American linguist Professor George Cardona was also given the honor. The award was presented by Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari at a function in New Delhi on Monday. Princess Srindaron, who arrived in New Delhi on Sunday on an official 7-day visit, said the award would be used to promote Sanskrit studies in her country. Speaking on the occasion, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari said Thai and other Southeast Asian languages had strong roots in Sanskrit, along with Europe and United States, where there has been a long and valuable tradition of scholarship in Sanskrit. Instituting of an annual World Sanskrit Award was announced by External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj during her inaugural address in the 16th World Sanskrit Conference in Bangkok in June 2015. Over 600 Sanskrit scholars from 60 countries had participated in the 5-day conference.
Much of Indian cultural landscape has been formed by Sanskrit, and the modern Indian languages bear the impact of the magnificence and richness of Sanskrit.
Well, the counting of bypolls to 4 Lok Sabha seats and 10 assembly seats will take place today. The counting is underway for the bypolls held on November 19th. Lok Sabha seats were Lakhimpur in Assam, Shahadoli in Madhya Pradesh and Cooch Behar and Tamluk in West Bengal. By polls to 8 assembly seats were held for 2 seats in Tripura and 1 seat each in Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Polling for 2 assembly seats of Tanjavur and Aravakurichi were held in Tamil Nadu. Polling in these 2 seats were cancelled by Election Commission in May following evidence of money being used to influence voters. Congress President Sonia Gandhi on Monday dismissed any comparison between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, saying there was absolutely no comparison between them. Speaking in her first television interview in 9 years that she gave to India Today TV, she also rejected suggestions that the party did not have leaders to take on Narendra Modi. Replying to a question whether her party needed to be competitive, she said that the party was taking on the present dispensation and expressed confidence that it will return to power. The Congress chief also played down talks of son Rahul Gandhi or daughter Priyanka Gandhi carrying forward the family's political legacy, saying she was not the one to decide or reply. She also rejected the charge that Indira Gandhi and she herself promoted dynasty.
As a power politician? Absolutely not. I think that it is absolutely possible. Not only it is possible, we will come up from 44 seats. In politics, you win, you lose. You come up in power, you go down. It's part of life, in every sphere of life.
Here's a look at what else is making news across the country and nationwide. Industrialist Nusli Wadia, on an independent director on some Tata Group companies, has served a defamation notice on Tata Sons board, asking it to withdraw false, defamatory and libelous allegations against him. Tata Sons has said that the company will respond to the notice appropriately. Wadia is an independent director on some Tata Group companies which have called EGMs to remove him from their boards for allegedly siding with ousted chairman Cyrus Mistry. The CBI is moving to seek the extradition of liquor baron Vijay Mallya from the United Kingdom after securing a non-bailable warrant against him from a Mumbai court. PTI, quoting CBI sources, said a request for extradition will soon be forwarded to designated authorities in the UK through diplomatic channels. Mallya had left the country in March despite lookout circulars from the CBI. The NIA carried out searches at the premises of controversial Islamic preacher Zakir Naik, his NGO and a few associates for the 3rd consecutive day on Monday. The agency also blocked the website of outlawed Islamic Research Foundation founded by him. The Anti-Terror Investigation Agency is also set to summon Naik, who is abroad ever since his name cropped up after the Dhaka terror attack on July 1st, when one of the terrorists involved posted on social media that they had been inspired by the former's speeches. Israel President Reuven Rivlin paid floral tributes to the victims of the 26/11 terror attack in Mumbai and said that terror is terror and that it will never win. Addressing the Jewish community in the city, he said that the fight against terror will continue as this is a must for all free world. An elderly man was killed and over a dozen houses were charred in a major fire that broke out in Dalgate area of Srinagar. The fire broke out in a house in the congested Buchwara locality of Dalgate and quickly spread to the adjoining houses and lasted several hours. Police has registered a case in connection with the incident and investigation is on to ascertain the cause of the fire. Moving on to some international news now. A strong 6.9 magnitude earthquake hit northeastern Japan early today. The epicenter of the earthquake, which was felt in Tokyo, was near the coast of Fukushima Prefecture at a depth of about 10 kilometers. A tsunami of up to 1 meter has been observed around Fukushima following the quake. The third reactor of the Fukushima nuclear plant had stopped working, but there were no signs of temperatures rising and no other abnormalities at other nuclear facilities. There are no such reports of damage or injury so far. Japanese authorities urged residents of northeast coastal areas to leave immediately for higher ground and to not return until warnings had been lifted.
避難に関する情報提供を適時、的確に行うこと、早急に被害状況を把握すること、災害応急対策に全力で取り組むことについて指示いたしました。
なお、福島第一女川の各原子力発電所に異常はないとの報告を受けております。特に津波警報等が発表されている地域の皆様は直ちに安全な場所に避難をしてください。
More international news now. 32 people were killed when a suicide bomber targeted a crowded mosque in the Afghan capital Kabul on Monday, the third major attack on minority Shiites in the city since July. The Interior Ministry said that the attacker entered the Bakir-ul-Ulum Mosque shortly after midday as worshippers had gathered for a ceremony. The United Nations Assistance Mission in Afghanistan said the explosion also wounded more than 50 people. Reuters reported that Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi condemned the terror attack and asserted that all sanctuaries, safe havens and support to such terrorists must end for regional peace. He said that India stands with Afghanistan in its fight against terrorism.
داخل مسجد یک حمله انتحاری توسط یک فرد انتحار کننده صورت گرفته و منجر به شهادت 27 تن از هموطنان ما و مجروحیت 35 تن شده. مجروحین و اجساد شهدا به شفاخانه انتقال شده.
شیشته بود که یک دفعه یک صدای بسیار بلند شد. دیگه نفهمیدم چی بود. دیگه کل جای تاریک شد. وقتی که خیسم بلند شدیم که چهار طرف دیدیم که نفر افتاده، خون است و نفر است و دیگه اصلا شیشه نیست، دیگه چهار طرف دیگه.
And staying on with international news now, US President-elect Donald Trump has said that the US will quit the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal on his first day in the White House. In a video message, Trump described TPP as a potential disaster for their country and said his administration was rather focused on generating fair bilateral trade deals that would bring jobs and industry back to America. The TPP trade deal was signed by 12 countries, which together cover 40% of the world's economy. It was designed to bring down tariffs and trade barriers between America and a number of Pacific Rim nations, including Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Malaysia and Chile. The President-elect's announcement comes days after his meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in New York. Just before Trump's announcement, Abe had said TPP would be meaningless without the US. The announcement is likely to disappoint several world leaders, including outgoing President Barack Obama, who recently warned against abandoning TPP as it could result in the US losing an opportunity to shape global trade.
On trade, I am going to issue our notification of intent to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a potential disaster for our country. Instead, we will negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores.
Well, that's it on this edition of the newscast. Have a good day.